Hi there. Yes, you. Having troubles finding appropriate dishes for SBA number 2? Well, this video is just for you.
Lady, go!
Selecting appropriate dishes, assignment number 2, which is cooking with convenience food on a budget. Here goes the assignment question. You are required to plan and prepare a low budget 3-course meal using frozen, canned, and dried convenience foods. Fresh vegetables and herbs may be used to enhance your dishes. Now, let us look at the question in more detail. Let us explain the elements. So, on a low budget, you're supposed to plan a 3-course meal. Good. And you should use frozen, canned, dried, convenience foods. Let's go. Low budget. What does it mean to cook on a low budget? A low budget meal refers to one that is made with food items that cost small amount of money. Good. Next element states that you're supposed to plan a 3-course meal. You may be wondering, what is a 3-course meal? A 3-course meal is one that comprises of the following parts. 1. We have the appetizer or the starter. Next, you have the main course. And the main course consists of a protein dish, a carbohydrate dish, and green, leafy, and yellow vegetables. And lastly, you have your desserts. Good. Continuing, we're going to look at break down the 3-course meal. So firstly, a course refers to how a meal is divided up, right? So we have our first course here, second course, 3-course. Now, what is the first course consist of? It has the appetizer. What is an appetizer? An appetizer is a small portion of food or drink served before or at the beginning of a meal to stimulate the desire to eat. An appetizer is normally like a 1 or 2 bites. Good. As you can see in the image up here. Now let us look at the second course, which will be your main course. So the main course is the primary dish in a meal, consisting of the protein dish, the carbohydrates, and also vegetables. Now let us look at the third course. And the third course that you will have is your dessert. Now, what is a dessert? A dessert is a usually sweet course or dish, usually a pastry or ice cream, served at the end of a meal to close the appetite. And here we have images over here. We have the image of an appetizer, the main course, and also the dessert. Good. Now, let us look at what are convenience foods, or what is convenience food. The term convenience food is used to describe foods that partially or completely processed by the food manufacturer. They are packaged in such a way that makes them that makes them easier to prepare and take a shorter time to cook. Now think about it. What are those foods that you find in the supermarket that they're partially, meaning they probably half cooked or completely processed, they're completely cooked or probably just need some reheating, right? Or even if you have to cook them, they take little or no time. Think about it. Those are the foods that you are supposed to choose from. Those are the categories that you're supposed to choose from to create your 3-course meal. And of course, remember that the food has to be of low budget. Good? 3-course meal. Here what you should have in mind when you're selecting the appropriate dish. 3-course meal, which consists of an appetizer, a main course, and dessert. Low budget meal, and those low budget meaning food that are inexpensive or foods that are cheap. Good? And the third requirement you have to think of now, is it a convenience food? And what are convenience foods? Foods that are partially or fully processed, foods that are easily cooked, foods that you have to do little or not much to that makes your cooking or your work easier. Now, let us move on to some categories of convenience foods. So we'll be focusing on these 3 categories. The first one we have here is dried or dehydrated foods. So what are those foods that you get at the supermarket that you have to reconstitute? You may have to add water to it, but at the same time it is easily prepared. Mashed potatoes, yes. You also have canned foods, same thing that we call tin food. Some persons at one point, some point in your life, you must have a favorite tin food. Is it sausage? Is it corned beef? Is it tuna? Is it mackerel? Good. So canned food, and you should also use frozen foods. And remember, all when you're choosing from these categories, you have to ensure that they are at a low cost. So items that have little or no preparation to do, good, that are at a low cost. That's what you must think of when you're selecting appropriate recipes. Now my advice to you, you have 3 categories here and you have 3 different courses to prepare. Why not let your appetizer be the star of one of these categories? So is it that you're going to use a canned product in your appetizer, or a dried or a frozen? When it comes on to your main course, which elements of these foods are you going to use? Remember, you have to always, it's not just to plan a 3-course meal. You have to think of the requirements. It has to be inexpensive and it has to be partially or fully processed. Good? All right. Let us move on. Now, what I'm going to show you next is some samples of appropriate dishes, and then we're going to analyze them together and see why we have chosen them. Do they meet the requirements? Good? Let's go. Guys, so what you have on your screen here is an appetizer, right? An appetizer recipe. And the name of the dish is mini breadfruit basket with tuna salad. Now, bear the categories in mind, bear the requirements in mind. We have to choose foods that are either frozen, dried, or canned. Good? And they also have to be low cost or inexpensive. So we are on a budget. We're cooking with convenience food on a budget. Let's go and see why this dish is appropriate. Good? So first off here we have 1 can of tuna, right? 1 can of tuna. We also have a can of whole kernel corn. We have a can of green peas. Let us see what other convenience food we have in here. Good. We also have Grace mayonnaise, which is convenience, but does it meet the requirement? Well, we have three things here that check the box. So we have canned tuna, we have canned kernel corn, and we also have Grace green peas, or any form of green peas may be used, right? So we have green peas. So what I'm saying, guys, when you're selecting your recipes, please bear in mind the requirements. It's not just to select a standard 3-course meal. You have to bear convenience in mind. You have to bear the categories that are mentioned in mind, and you also have to bear the cost of the product in mind, right? For these to be suitable. Okay, let us now zoom in on another appetizer. Good. So right here we have Snappy Pizza, right? So you can give your pizza name whatever you want. It could have been mini pizza squares. All right, let us see if this one is appropriate. So we have flour, cornmeal, granulated sugar, baking powder, salt, eggs, and milk. Now, as you can see, this would have been the ingredients for the dough. Good. Now, let us look at the pizza topping. We have cheddar cheese, we have Grace chicken frankfurter, we have Grace ham, and we also have bologna right there. Good. Now, even though that this recipe is telling you to make your dough, it is still suitable. Why it is suitable? Because it has frozen convenience foods in there, and these foods that are listed are inexpensive. So we have the chicken franks, you have the Grace ham, and you have the bologna. Those things are affordable. Now, what you can even do to take it a notch further, if you don't want to prepare the dough, you just purchase the dough. You can just purchase the dough in the stores and use a frozen dough. So all you will need to do is just to roll it out and put on your topping, and you're good to go. Okay, let us now skip down to some main dishes. Good. See, we also have tuna canapé. That's also an appetizer made from convenience foods. We have frankfurter and vegetable pockets. Also an appetizer made from convenience foods. It check all the boxes. All right. Now let us look at some main dishes. So we have here corned beef balls with pineapple sauce. Good. Let us see if this one checked the box. Right off the bat, you can see that we have somewhat. We have some corn. You have some canned corn there. You have the Grace beef. Good. Right. So here we also have the green peas as well. Now what you can do, you can serve this with spaghetti. Now the entire dish may not be, all the elements in the dish may not be convenience foods, but it's very important for you to have 1 or 2 elements that are needed in each dish. So make sure you either check frozen or you check dried, and then you can be a little versatile with whatever else you want to add to your meal. Good. You can also do rice and peas as a carbohydrate dish. Good. Because you have a variety of frozen peas and beans on the market. And you also have coconut milk, which is also a dried convenience food. So instead of you having the coconut and having to pick it, grate or blend and then juice it, you just use the powdered coconut milk, right? And then you would add your liquid to that and you reconstitute it. Good. So that is another point, and there are a lot of peas and beans that are canned that you can use and cook your rice and peas or your rice and beans. For the dessert, there are a lot of dried products that you can use. There are a variety of cake mixes, there are a variety of cupcake mixes, there are a variety of cookie mixes. a variety of even pudding mixes that you can use. You now have potato pudding mix, you have cornmeal pudding mix, good, and these items are inexpensive, good. So when you're choosing, try to be creative, good, and think of the requirements when you're choosing your appropriate dishes. Now, I hope this video finds you well and you are now better able to select appropriate dishes, bearing in mind the criteria needed for selecting these dishes so you can do well in your SBA. Awesome! You have made it to the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you for watching.